I want to go beyond just ChatGPT, like where should they kind of start?
Build a memory of all of your own previous work, how you write, and use that as your kind of personal assistant. Automations here, and if you can get there first, and you've got a huge advantage, and that's one of the best tools I've seen on the market right now. Is this 3% human or is it 97% human? I think that's where social media will go. Unbelievable. It's like so sophisticated on the information that it brings in. What I'm personally most excited about, and especially in real estate, it's very futuristic. Instead of people looking for a house, you can utilize AI to get a house to look for you. Plug into any part of your software architecture securely,
Yeah.
and it completely revolutionizes your company.
Welcome back to the Leads Are Sht. This week's a little bit different. As you know, Taylor usually does the intro, so I'm going to make up an intro this time like I've been doing it the whole time. We're doing it a little bit differently this week. So normally, again, Taylor and I chat marketing. Taylor is at a golf tournament, so I decided to bring someone else in and do this episode with me. So we're talking to Matt Hinckley. So Matt, if you're not familiar with him, and if you're not in the fintech side of the world, you might not be. So Matt is like a proper AI expert and primarily works kind of in the fintech space. So like where, some people call me an AI expert. I'm not an expert. I'm a marketer who knows how to use AI. Matt's an actual AI expert. So we're going to kind of talk to him about ways you can leverage it, kind of what he's seen, what works. And because he's here, and if you're here live, this is like your best opportunity to ask someone who knows AI really well. Any questions you have, and we'll go from there. So, Matt, I mean, if I missed anything in your bio you think would be relevant, I'll let
Not
you
at
say
all.
it.
Thank you very much. No, I think you got me spot on. I wouldn't
Perfect.
say expert necessarily, but yeah, a bit of experience in AI over the last few years in the fintech space. That's perfect.
Perfect. So, like, I know where one of the questions I always like to ask when I talk to someone who knows it really well. Because, like, when you look at real estate and people say they're using AI, the most common thing is they're actually just using ChatGPT to, like, write a couple, like, listing descriptions and different things like that. Um, what would you, like, say is, like, beyond that, the most common applications that you're seeing of AI right now?
Yeah, so I mean, in my field, a lot of it's still ChatGPT. A lot of it is kind of personalized chatbots coming in and using kind of software documentation to empower customers or internal employees, making them smarter. Um,
Yeah.
what we're starting to see as a big trend is typically different forms of AI, from predictive analytics to machine learning to natural language processing. Used to be used kind of on their own. So someone would use ChatGPT as an instance, someone would use predictive analytics. What we're starting to see is the combination of these working together. So mixing your machine learning to import, like bringing data to then work with natural language processing, and then taking that to provide predictive analytics in the future, and making these connections through new software tools such as NAN and some of these no code, low code softwares that are now out there that you can connect quite easily into your software or anywhere else, really.
Yeah. I'm curious for like people who are maybe not super techy, because like I've looked at NAN and like I can figure it out, but like even for me, there's a pretty big learning curve, and I might be a little techier than the average real estate person. Where would you look at like if someone's like, okay, I want to go beyond just ChatGPT, like where should they kind of start?
Um, Honestly, it really depends on the use case. Beyond ChatGPT, I mean, I think machine learning is often a good one. Like, um, if you're a business, once again, it depends if you're a business, if you're a consumer. So, on the consumer front, I think chatbots are a great way to go. It doesn't just have to be ChatGPT; they can be personalized. So whether that's inputting, if you're a content writer, as an example, like an editor or something like that, you can build your own database of all of your previous work, build a memory of all of your own previous work, how you write, and use that as your kind of personal assistant to ask questions and or create new paragraphs, new editing material for you. So personalized chatbots are definitely a way to go. I think on the business front, We're seeing some great use cases across machine learning. Machine learning is getting a lot easier. To me, when I first started in the space, machine learning was always very daunting. Um, but it's not actually too bad now. Like the ability to, like the use cases in our industry is things like financial statements. So the ability to read financial statements, understand financial statements, and pull that information out from documents, which is obviously key. Like data is the key thing. So um, in the real estate world, same thing. There's a ton of documents, ton of papers, ton of information that needs to be extracted from documentation. So machine learning could be a great way to go there. Natural language processing is great, but when you've got standardized documentation, such as in real estate, machine learning could be the way to go for better efficiency.
And for stuff like that, where it's obviously, and you must deal with this on the fintech side, where like making sure the information's right is really important. Like I was even thinking
Yeah.
the other day, I was writing the a new media kit for 2026 for a real estate magazine, and I was just out of curiosity. I was like, "Hey, here's the points I'm making. Can you go find me stats to back it up?" And
Mhm.
it said like, "Here's this one, the source. Here's this one, the source. Here's this one, the source." Every single link I clicked on went to a 404 page that didn't exist. Like they just
Yeah.
made it up and then like found a real website that should have information like that and then faked it. So like how are you like how can you set things up so that like compliance and basically not putting yourself into legal jeopardy because you relied on it is going to happen?
So a lot of that, like personal chatbots, a lot of that comes into the configuration aspect. So the hallucination side. If you're in N8N as an example, there's really good tools in there where you can filter down. You can use scraping tools where you can scrape the URL of an article. You can go into that URL and you can actually see if there's content there. You can then even pass out the likes of if there's an article that's got lots of adverts or other information on that web page that you don't want to pull out, you literally just want the paragraphs of the article, then you can build in specific filters and code in order to make sure that happens. So you can guarantee that every single time you get in the content that you want, you're making sure there's content there. On the machine learning standpoint, the machine learning I'm most competent with is AWS Textract, where it actually comes back, the data comes back in something called a JSON. And within the JSON format, you've got a confidence level of the data within it. So there's a query that you provide towards machine learning. And when the information comes back out of 100%, it gives you a confidence score. So you can look at that confidence score with code or just as a human being to understand, is there data there? Excuse me. Is there data there? Is it what you're looking for? And then that's obviously how you train your models. You then update
No.
queries and move on and move forward.
And how, like something like that, how hard do you think that would be for just like the average person who maybe like the most they've ever done is play with ChatGPT, like set something like that up?
I mean, the beautiful thing about the internet today is there's tutorials for everything. I'm not a software developer by trade. I'm actually AI strategy, but I really enjoy the industry. I'm passionate about AI, so I've been able to teach myself enough coding and enough around machine learning, and so I taught myself a lot of the machine learning aspects. It's not too difficult. If it's very difficult, then these large companies don't get too many people using it. So they
Yeah.
want to make it dummy proof. They want to make it as easy as possible with great tutorials to teach you how to do it. So with machine learning, honestly, with no kind of understanding of AWS Tech Stack before, I think you could probably learn it in a week if you put a few hours each day towards it. So not too
No.
bad.
I'm curious for you, like day to day, whether it's work, personal, like where are you actually using AI? And like, do you have things like where do you see the biggest impact?
Um, I use it in a couple of areas. So I'd say the one I probably use the most, um, I have my own personal AI. So my friend actually designed it, but um, it's built from lots of different ancient principles. It's getting pretty deep right now, but lots of different ancient principles around who we are as human beings and on a psychological front. And works very. It's plug into ChatGPT, so you can literally ChatGPT using this GPT. But it's unbelievable. It's and you can ask it any question, and you feel like it's better than a psychologist or a therapist in any way. So I use that a lot. It's very personal. Um, So whether I'm trying to do something with work, whether I'm trying to do something outside of work, whatever it is, I can speak to it and it's actually cool to speak to. There's that. And then on the hobby front, N8N, as I said, I'm not a developer, but I'm trying to learn that as much as possible. I understand that automation's here. And if you can get there first, and you've got a huge advantage. And that's one of the best tools I've seen on the market right now. You can connect any piece of software and automate any process you want. So
Very good. That for like the customized chat, is that just like a custom GPT or you're plugging in something else into
it's
ChatGPT?
it's pretty much a custom GPT. He won't tell me the ins and outs of how he's designed it. He's actually got me in an NDA on some of even around some of the stuff that he's told me about it. But
Yeah.
it's all to do with your inner beings and a lot of stuff. I can't even explain it, but it's unbelievable, actually unbelievable. So
Yeah. And like when you're looking at it, like building out for like the fintech side of things, like I'm guessing you're not building solutions related to that type of stuff. So like
not
the
at all.
companies you're working with, where are they looking mostly to put it in?
So in a couple of different areas. So we've been building in the personalized chatbot space for the last couple of years. That's where we've seen the best interest and the most use cases, to be honest. So the business side of ChatGPT and using their API to design different functions. So we've got our own software where we can bring it in into a chatbot within the software. And then dependent on our client, we can design specific use cases for them. So as an example, um, one of our clients, a lending institution, um, they had numerous different people from financial analysts to head of finance and credit. That when they get an application in, they have to go through the financial statements. They have to provide a credit write up, and this whole process takes between 2 and 3 hours typically. By the time they've got the information and keyed it in, through the use of one of these functions that we custom designed, we can do that in 15 seconds. So we actually use the AI to go through the financial statements, pull back the information, work out specific ratios. From those ratios, we can then determine the risk levels from this lending institution. And from those risk levels, we could do and the consumer bureau reports, we can then look at those as well and provide a tailored custom write-up, credit write-up in 2 or 3 paragraphs, which is exactly what they're looking for in 15 seconds. So that's one of our best use cases. We've got predictive analytics around customer disbursements. So if there's new clients looking for deals or existing clients looking for deals, understanding their payment metrics to, if they need seasonal payments, if they're going to pay on time, like that type of stuff. So lots of different use cases, really depends on our clients, but typically comes from the chatbot themselves and the queries and the prompts that you can put in them within the software.
I'm curious from like trying to think of like what would be most impactful for people here. And again, people, if you have questions, put them in the chat.
Awesome.
What would be like, as an example, I know real estate right now is not a huge thing that people are asking about. Like in the list of industries, it's actually one of the lower ones right now, but I assume that's going to change over time. Um, how would you go about if you got hired by like a real estate team that AI would recommend them when people ask about real estate? How would you go about trying to like make sure like ChatGPT gave their name when recommending agents?
Um, so can you phrase that question again? Sorry.
So
Like, so
basically,
if,
like SEO for ChatGPT from the perspective of like, let's say someone like, I'm going to sell my home. Who should I hire?
yeah.
How would you
Okay.
approach it to get like your client's name? Like, let's say Miles in the chat here was your client, and he's like, I want ChatGPT to give my name out when it's time.
Uh, to sell a home.
Yeah. So they want to, so they're typing into like ChatGPT, I'm going to sell my home. Who should I hire to do it?
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Um, so that would obviously ChatGPT would be difficult in the sense of they would be very broad, so very holistic on they would hit every major estate listings company that there is and provide you with some of the closest people around, I guess. I think there's some middleware that could definitely be created, whether it's a GPT or a separate service for an institution to bring in something similar, but to be more direct. So having these listings, being able to understand what the listing's all about, understand more data points. Data is key. So understand more data points, such as what are the schools like in the area, um, what do the neighbors think of you, are you loud, are you not loud, like what are your neighbors like, all of these different data points. So in however you can get this data and information towards AI and provide that back in a customer service centric way, that would be the best way to do it. But ChatGPT would be a tough one, I think, because I don't know how much I trust ChatGPT. If I said I wanted to sell my house, who can you introduce me to?
Yeah.
It definitely have to be more private. But there's definitely a ton of opportunity out there, and that's honestly why I'm here today. I think there's so much opportunity in the real estate space. I see your stuff as well. Listening to your podcast, like you guys are great. Um, so yeah, I'm happy to hear some questions as well on the real estate space.
Yeah. Well, I'm also curious. So this is an idea I've joked about with Taylor, that when he can't make an episode, that one day I'm going to replace him with an AI version of him, where I'll just like train it on all the old transcripts and then just replace them with like an avatar. How hard would that be today to build?
it's it's honestly it's funny you say that. I'm building a similar use case right now where it's a whole marketing team where you can generate newsletters all from one agent. You can generate newsletters from the top content. You can provide viral TikTok videos. You can do all this different stuff, and it really comes down. You create your own avatar, but the agent itself also creates a script. So as long as you had a script prior to this coming in, or you got your agent to work with you in real time, you could definitely have an avatar out there speaking.
Yeah.
You might get a little bit of delay,
Yeah.
but you could certainly make it work.
Yeah.
That'd be a funny one.
It'd be an interesting episode. Like the biggest concern for me when I've looked at the AI voice ones is that delay from when it has to think about what you're saying, then respond. It's not as like back and forth as this. So I'd like say something and then wait 3 seconds and then they'd answer. That's kind of
Yeah,
like dead
so
time.
you can improve that with memory. So if you had like uh, a data lake of all of your previous conversations with Taylor, as an example, that this
Yep.
AI can look at, and it understands who Taylor is before this question comes, and it could go back towards that and come forward, then it would be a lot faster. It's when it's net new information that the AI has to provide back that they have to think
Yeah.
about it first.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got memory associated towards the agent, I think you could get away with it.
Yeah. Because the way I was thinking about it, which is the like ultimate simplistic way, was not do it live, record it, and then just edit out the gap.
Yeah,
It'd be painstaking, but it would make it seem like it's flowing more.
I think that'd be great.
Uh,
Yeah, that'd be a
so,
fun one
so
to do.
I'm curious your thoughts on this because like it's one of the like I actually just booked today a talk where I'm going to be talking about like trends in marketing, and obviously like there's a ton of companies popping up now that are doing AI content for realtors, and like blog posts, tweets, social media posts is the easiest thing to outsource early on for
Hmm.
someone, and there's a lot of tools around that. But then like how like I look at Twitter. If you post a tweet that's probably written by AI, 90% of your engagement's going to be bots as well. And it's almost like it's just Twitter becomes the bots talking to each other. Like where do you see things going where because it looks like essentially like that dead internet theory of it's just going to be bots talking to each other. Like 10 years ago, the joke was all our old Hotmail accounts have just been sitting there emailing each other spam links for 20 years because we never shut the accounts down, and no
Yeah.
one's using it. But like, if you thought about that too much around like if everyone's posting that AI content, then they're adding in the AIs that do the engagement, what's actually left there for people?
Yeah, 100%. I honestly think there'll be more tools. I think there'll be different levels of AI tools that get created. As an example to that, so when ChatGPT first came about, and for the last few years, obviously we were creating content ourselves for our website. And we went sure that it was proofread at least a few times and rewritten and whatever. But Google have just come out and basically said, if you've got AI content on your site, you're going to be chucked down the back of the queue type of thing. So that happened to us. All of a sudden, our viewers and clicks through to our site just fell off a cliff. And it was because of the AI content. So we took it down and we're going to have to rewrite it. And I think there's just going to be new tools that start to come out, whereas, yeah, you can create content very fast and very efficiently and, automate it through Twitter and all this sort of stuff. But Twitter, Google, all of these guys, I think, will start to downgrade that information unless it'll become a manual effort thing. Like the more effort, the more time a human puts into it, that will be graded. And it will be, is this 3% human or is it 97% human? And if it's 97%, your content will be rated higher than the 3%, no matter who it comes from. I think that's where social media will go. And um, the same with the likes of Google and things like that.
Now, I'm curious how they, if you know, like how they can tell that. Because I know even from like just playing around out of curiosity, I've written an article with AI and then fed it into it one of those checkers that checks, and it's like, oh, this was like 90% AI. And then I just say, hey, the checker said this was 90% AI, rewrite it so they don't. And then it came back and I got 10% AI and I hadn't tested anything. So like, is it just them like recognizing the patterns of how AI speaks and that's how they're doing it? Because like I've seen this with like really good copywriters because that's what a lot of it's trained on is like they're getting marked as AI when they're just actually a really good writer. It's almost like the top being penalized there.
Yeah, honestly, I can't give you a truthful answer. I can give you an answer where I can guess. Um, Natural language processing isn't obviously done in human language, it's done in binary. So I think it's to do with the process between transferring human language into binary and then back again. So um, in the case of ChatGPT as an example, like if a human's writing it in Google Docs or Microsoft Word, then there's no transformation, there's no like encryption and then decryption back again. And I think that's what they look at. I think it has that A been any encryption or decryption in the first place, and B, what does that look like? And I think that's how they determine what it looks like. And I think all the AI checkers and the humanizer bots do is basically model that decryption so that they can't see that as much, but they can still kind of see it. That would be my
Yeah.
guess. I don't know that for certain. So if there's any AI wizards on the call, please feel free to call me out on that.
So would that be in the sense then it's like if you've set it up so it just auto publishes your thing, but like let's say you had it write it, put it into Google Docs, and then pasted it over, that's where it wouldn't?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because like we have a rule of REM at least where you're not allowed to write an entire article with AI. It can do like the SEO descriptions and meta descriptions and stuff like that, but we've definitely seen like competitors who use it quite a bit and things like that. So it's been interesting to see kind of will they get penalized, but I guess most of our traffic doesn't come from Google, so
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like that's where we see it a little bit different too. And like when
I've
you're,
seen,
yeah, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I have seen some really good, some newsletters and blogs published that are 100% AI that
Yeah.
claim they're 100% AI. But the procedure in which they go about doing it is like very, very, very extensive. So it's not just automating, pulling information in, sending it to ChatGPT, and then updating it on your website. It's not that simple. It's something that takes months to build where once it's built, it's great because it works flawlessly. But um, the actual kind of architecture behind it is unbelievable. It's like so sophisticated on the information that it brings in. It will then take that information to work out where did the information come from, take me to the write up papers, and then get those papers that are 100 pages long, condense them down into this way that I want to be seeing it, and then write it in this style that it's got. And so there's so many different ways to do it, and they're very successful. But it depends, right? Like it depends on your user base. It depends on your target audience. If they're happy to read that content, then 100%.
Yeah.
But
And
it can get sloppy.
where, yeah, like I'm thinking too, just like where AI can be best put in place? Like my idea for like a lot of how to use AI outside of just like having ChatGPT open on a screen next to me all the time would be doing the stuff that doesn't touch clients directly. Like, is that where you're seeing a lot of it happening, or are you seeing more and more like customer facing applications?
Um, there's a lot of customer facing applications for sure. There's a lot of B2B stuff connecting different softwares through the likes of
Yeah.
webhooks, um, because that's very difficult. As an example, we had before AI was here, we connected our software into Salesforce, and to build that out, to send specific data every 5 minutes to Salesforce to be
Yeah.
populated for reporting, and then backwards and forwards, it took like 3 or 4 months. You can now design that in 2 days with some of these AI tools. Um, and that's across the board, not just CRMs, but LMSs, like all different types of software systems. You can just connect now and flow data backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Um, what I'm personally most excited about, and especially in real estate, it's very futuristic. It's probably quite a way away. My background is cryptocurrency blockchain, and it's the conversion between AI and blockchain and data. So real estate is one of the up and coming industries into the blockchain space too, around RWAs, which is real world assets. The ability to look at a house, understand all the different data points and store on chain, and create some sort of token against that for trading or like handing over the keys. Basically, you're sending someone this token. But where I think it gets exciting is when instead of people looking for a house, you can utilize AI to get a house to look for you. So based on your metrics of an ID and who you are in the internet and things like that, you could get adverts come up to say, hey, there's this house around the corner that's going for a lower price than normal, and it's everything you've ever been looking for. And that's where I kind of click yes here to kind of
Yeah.
get your mortgage, and here's the person around the corner that can facilitate that deal. And if you click yes now, then that's going to be in your account. You own it tomorrow. Like the simplicity of going and purchasing a house,
Yeah.
because right now it's very archaic. But if it was just the touch of a button and you owned it outright and the deeds were there, it's all on chain, it's not editable. That's kind of where things excite me. It's the merge between the likes of AI and blockchain and IoT.
So with that, I would assume to do that though, you'd have to get like the government systems on the blockchain. Like you'd have to do a full like
Um,
everyone that touches the transaction would have to come onto one system, right?
not necessarily one system. No,
No.
blockchains speak to one another now,
Yeah.
and it's coming in pretty fast. I mean, I was in the blockchain space since 2013, 2014. Built a lot of applications for banks and financial institutions, and I thought it was going to come in faster back then, but it
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
So I ventured into AI, but it's now coming in a lot faster, and that's honestly coming from the states. That they're bringing in a lot of regulation around blockchain cryptocurrencies, which behind the scenes are actually net positive in my eyes. I think that financial systems, monetary systems, are actually going to improve a lot from these types of technologies.
Yeah. So, like, so I'm just thinking of the real estate industry where it's like, even just you're in Toronto, like
Mhm.
Hamilton's just on a completely different platform, for example, and they don't talk to each other really. So it's like, I'm just trying to think of the implications of adding all onto one to do it. I feel like just the regulatory side would take like 20 years.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest hurdle is not bringing like houses and stuff on chain. It's actually the digital ID standpoint,
Yeah.
because there's people for it and people against it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so many advantages to a digital ID, and housing your own data and all that stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot of disadvantages to digital ID depending on who owns the technology.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the biggest pushback that we see for a long time until we get over that hurdle. Um, we probably won't see the likes of that, but we are seeing there has been houses bought on chain.
Yep.
There's been, Ethereum is kind of the main one for that right now, but There's separate chains being designed and built specifically for real world assets, such as real estate. I think what might be more likely is that it won't be the likes of North America that do this. It will be
Yeah.
the likes of the UAE, or one of these other kind of up and coming countries and areas that you want to utilize this technology to try and leapfrog North America as fast as they can, really.
Okay. That makes, yeah, because like it's so different here how it's sold than everywhere else in the world right now.
Hmm.
So a little more, be a little harder, I feel like, to break one because like if I know the few people here listening have been in the industry a long time. Like every day there's a new company that's being like, we're revolutionizing how it's done. And then a year later they're out
Yeah.
of business. It's the most common. But like I've seen a few on blockchain. Like I remember I was at an event, when was it? So like 2017. And it was like a guy, on stage talking about how, his was like, oh no, like 2 years from now, every transaction is going to be on the blockchain. And I don't even think he's in real estate anymore.
Hmm.
So it's like that's why I feel like it gets that like skeptic up from everyone in the industry because we've been hearing about it for so long and like haven't seen the progress on that yet. That I'm curious when that'll kind of actually come in.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, that's honestly why I left the space. And I was very like done very well in the space, as I said. But the difficult thing for me was the sales cycle, number one. So I was selling to financial institutions and bringing them on chain, and we did get some huge clients. And we were building, onboarding metrics for them down in the Caribbean, which was, taking an onboarding process of 3 to 6 months down to like 6 minutes. So huge advantage, but the sales cycle of getting people to use blockchain, like banks have to rebuild and rethink about their whole architecture. And the same were, real estate companies and governments, whereas AI is really just a tool. It's something that you can plug into any part of your software architecture securely,
Yeah.
and it completely revolutionizes your company and gives you so many benefits. So yeah, that's why I stepped into the AI space. A lot easier to sell.
Like, I'm curious if I'm thinking of like realtors, like I was thinking like this one team that I worked with years ago where like he built out a system that because one of his challenges was getting feedback from his agents when they showed a house to a client. I think I mentioned you this offline one time, where it was like he just had them get a text message and then they'd reply to the text message and then it would grab that, put it into the CRM, turn that into feedback for the listing agent. Like all that happened. Like, do you see and like obviously it's hard to predict timeline. How long or how hard would it be if the text there now? Where like their entire business could just be done through something like ChatGPT and that just connects for them to all their different tools if they just have that one interface. They're like, okay, we got to write a newsletter. Then they chat about it and then it can like connect to the MailChimp and then just send what they created there to them. But then they be, okay, now update the CRM over here and do this. Like, is that coming or it's like you could almost run your entire life out of one interface and that's the one that's going out and doing things for you?
Yeah, 100%. I say I'm working on a project now which pretty much does that, but it's based from Slack. So you've
Yeah.
got different rooms, and you've got an AI agent that's voice activated. So you speak to it, like create my newsletter, and then in a couple of minutes it comes back with, all right, here's the top story. This search globally across the whole internet and databases, and here's the top stories. Which ones would you like to be in the newsletter? It's like this one, this one, this one. Okay, great. Now put together a thread based on those, a Twitter thread based on that newsletter content. Okay, here's the thread in a different Slack channel. And then it's, okay, would you like a TikTok video put together based on this? Yeah. Okay, here's the script and here's the avatar and here's the video of you, because it's a picture and avatar of you. Here's a, avatar of you doing this in a separate Slack channel. And then you just push it straight towards those platforms. So you can literally do a sophisticated media company like that, where it takes 20 to 30 minutes of your time each day, and have it all run by agents and through a Slack channel, and that's it.
And like, I mean, if you're building it, it's obviously coming at some point. Do you
Oh, it's
know,
here.
like,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
know people that currently do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and but do you think that there's a risk with that of like what's happening with Google where they're going to start downgrading that stuff where it won't
Y-
have that same impact?
Yeah, yes and no. The It really depends on the architecture once again. Like
Yeah,
if you're if I guess I try to think of an analogy, but like if you're in real estate and you build and sell houses, if I build and sell houses in a day and I just use straw and clay, like are you going to buy houses from me compared to if I can use automation to my benefit and I could build a house in a day, but it's full of like bricks and marble and like if I figured out a way to create and design
yeah,
a very sophisticated house. Are you going to buy a house from me? Like, do you care if it's automated at that point?
yeah,
Not necessarily. And I think that's going to be the same as content. It's like as long as that content is like advantageous towards us, and
yeah,
you're not just reading fluff, like you know that it's verified, you know that it's good stuff, and it assists you. I don't think people will care the fact that it's AI that's put it together. I think it really comes down to the architecture of the design and how you pull in the information and how you design it in a way to capture your audience.
yeah. And I'm curious, like going because like one thing that's like getting a lot of traction in the industry right now are AIs that call leads for agents because they most of them don't pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Um, how are like are you seeing there's kind of two parts. One, just have you seen good applications of that in like even the fintech side of things? And then what I'm always curious about, and I've seen a little bit of data from some companies, but nothing concrete around like if it says it's AI, is the conversion rate higher versus if it pretends it's a person and like issues around that? Because like from what I've seen, and again, it's more limited data, it's like if it acknowledges it's AI, then it seems to convert at a higher rate because then you like it, then people are more forgiving of like the weird conversation that can kind of come out of it sometimes.
Um, so answer your first question first. Am I seeing it in fintech? I've seen some examples of this in fintech, but in different forms. So I think the best use case I've seen was it still requires a human, but it's done through Microsoft Teams. And when you're speaking to a sales lead or a client, in the background, it's kind of monitoring the conversation and it's predicting how that client's feeling.
Yeah,
So based on what you're saying and how you're saying it, I think that's really good from the sales side. I haven't seen the kind of automated stuff necessarily. I've seen not that's in my space. I've seen videos, I've seen demos of
yeah,
stuff like that previously. I don't think we're quite there yet. However, I do think they will have a lot better success rate in the future, and mainly because sales isn't necessarily about selling your product. Sales is about connecting with the individual, and if you can connect with any type of individual. So I play hockey. I love hockey. If I'm in a sales conversation with a hockey brain, then I'll talk 90% hockey and 10% the product that I'm selling because I want to get to know them. I want to build that relationship
yeah,
with them. If you're an AI that knows everything about anything, like the latest transfers, who's, what teams have gone up the league, what teams have gone down, who's in the playoffs, who's hurt, whatever, then I think, yeah, you could probably have a great conversation or learn something new. And then on the side of it, if the AI is like, by the way, can I set you up with my human buddy just for a quick demo of the product? Like, yeah, sure, like, go ahead. Like, that's fine.
yeah,
So it's going to come down to, once again, what's the architecture of the AI? What's the conversations like? Are they
yeah,
fun? Are they engaging? If not, if they're boring, then whatever. And also, one thing that's annoying about salespeople is when they don't go away.
yeah,
Like if a salesperson calls me in, is, do you want this product? Nah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Like typically you have to hang up or you feel bad. You're like, no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But if you can say, definitely no to the AI and the AI says, okay, thank you, yeah, great. But like, I think you can program them to be just great customer service agents and then
yeah.
leading into sales too.
Now, curious your thoughts on this too. It's like because it's like you're starting to see the start of this. Like, and we've even talked about it on the voicemail side, where like instead of a regular voicemail now, it'd just be an AI that answers and asks what you're calling about. But like I think it was Apple that announced like the next operating system can even answer calls for you, find out who they are and bring them in. Like similar to what we were talking before, do you think soon the phone's just going to be AIs trying to essentially battle each other to either get rid of the person or to get through, and whoever's is better tuned ends up getting to the person?
Yeah, I see it being a bit like Khaleesi and her dragons, where you will have your own AI dragons in the background that do certain things for you. It will be combined into one, but you will set your preferences, and I think the grand finale of all of this will come down to data. You know,
Yeah,
I think we need to own our own data, and when that does finally happen, I think it will be a case of, who do you want to vet calls from? Who do you want to get in touch with? And your AI will go and do the work for you. I think
yeah,
that's a little bit down the road, and I think we're quite there yet, mainly because the major players in town right now, I don't think they have the best interests in heart of the human beings. So I think there's always going to be pushback until that company comes in that has the
yeah,
best interests of the humans involved. But I think that's where this will net out. Now the technology's here, it's not going away, but
yeah,
I don't think we as human individuals will stand by to let this technology just take us abrupt and
yeah.
until the right company comes in.
And go back to a simple, let's say you met an agent today, very basic business. They're like, where should I start with AI? What would you tell them?
They're an agent, you see.
Yeah. So day-to-day realtor selling out there.
Um, Obviously, every agent's different. Some agents are great at writing emails. Some are not. Some are maybe very knowledgeable in the space, and some are not. Um, I would maybe do a. This is why my personal AI is very good because I can have deep conversations with areas where I can improve and things like that. But maybe the first questions you need to ask as an agent, where are the areas that you need to improve? Like, if you're a net new agent to the market, you've never done it before, maybe start by learning a lot about the industry and utilizing AI to, learn as fast as possible. Um, and I take that route and then using the tools to set up templates for yourself. Like they will be AI generated, obviously, but that's fine. You can tailor them, but getting yourself organized, getting folders in place of templates so you can quickly respond to emails and customer service is obviously key. If you're a very experienced agent in the space, then finding your inefficiencies and utilizing AI in that way. Once again, it's hard to really determine which area, but um, if it's email communication, whatever it is, find the tools that can. There's tools for everything in AI now. So find the tools that's going to speed that up or improve that for you. Speak to some old customers, some old clients. What could I have done better? Did you get enough information from me about this property? Did I call you enough? Like, did I give you the feedback on like
Yeah.
whatever it may be? Find out your inefficiencies and then utilize AI with those specific tools to figure that out.
Pretty good. And then reminder everyone, if you're here live, you can ask questions. So Mile wants to know the most productive applications, which I think for most people is still ChatGPT. Get AI to do client surveys. Yeah, like that one, like one that we've set up and talked to people about. So there's, I don't know if you know about this, Matt, but there's a rule in real estate in Canada, and I think they have it in the US, but I think there's challenges to it there. Where for 3 days, if you market a home, has to be on the MLS within 3 days, but you can do one-to-one communication. But mass emails is not considered one-to-one. So if I like send it out to my database, because it's like one to many still as a newsletter. So we got AI to manually send one at a time and get around that. Now it's one to one. But just like finding ways to leverage it for like things like that. We've been doing it a bit, but surveys, like Miles, you're saying, get through surveys. Do you mean just like after a showing or after a transaction, just getting them to leave a review and ask how they felt about working with you? Yeah. Because I guess you could set one up fairly easily. That would be go to that, like you could even call them or text them for you, ask them questions and help them create the testimonial, and then have them go place that on Google for you. So almost like Because that's like one of the big things. Like we try to work with this with clients where it's like, can we help them write a better testimonial? Because one thing I noticed when I've like just done the exercise, like I'll go on ChatGPT and say like, who's the best agent in Newmarket to hire to sell my home? And sometimes it pulls out text of Google reviews being like, in Google, this is what they're saying about them. So this might be a good person. So if we could have one that almost like talks to them about their experience, writes the review then based on that, and then they just go paste that into Google. You could almost make that a fairly simple tool that also gives them a better review. That'd be interesting. How hard do you think that would be to build? Something like that that just went out, helped them like almost ask the sellers a couple questions, and then based on that, wrote a good review and then gave them the link where to go on Google to put it in.
Yeah, not difficult. Um, it just really starts from the trigger point. Every piece of AI really and automation comes from a trigger point. So um, a text message or a conversation or having it ready in the background. So having the workflow ready so that once you've spoken to them and say, hey, this review is more likely to sell your house to the right people, whatever it may be, as long as there's something of benefit for them, um, yeah, that would not be difficult to put in place.
Interesting. Yeah, because that'd be an interesting one to have where it's doing it that route. Because again, it's all about how, because I know especially with reviews, clients get writer's block. That's where you end up with just generic. Miles was great to work with. And that's the entire review. And you're like, no, like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about this? Can you talk about this? How can we get that pulled out without spending hours and hours on the phone with people?
Yeah, and I mean, with reviews and things like that, like if there's something in it for the person giving a review, you're always more likely to get a great review.
Yeah.
So if it's like, if you want to sell a house in the future or, introduce me to someone selling a house in the future and they come through me, then I'll give a 5% discount of my fees or something along those lines. There's something in it for them. Um, then you just give them examples of good reviews and what's worked in the past, and yeah, they're more likely to do it too.
That makes sense. Yeah. Because like I keep thinking of like right now, all that most people should just be setting up like the simple things. Because like a lot of the I think things that will actually be game changing in terms of like one interface that controls all their stuff, the individual agent's not going to be able to build that typically themselves. They're going to have to wait for the big companies to build that out and deploy it for them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to think like what are the things they could start doing themselves and put that in. Like the other idea, which I think you and I talked about one time in a different conversation, I think I mentioned briefly, like how long do you think like let's say right now you started it where if someone called, you didn't pick up, it goes to voicemail. Instead of going to a voicemail, it went to an AI agent. And that AI agent like basically answered and said, oh, what do you call? I'm his AI agent, AI voicemail. What are you calling about? How can he help you? Like how, and then give that information to them. How hard do you think that'd be to set up and build out?
Honestly, it's very simple, but the only thing that you need to connect into that is the memory and the database. So it would be a case of setting up a vector DB. Um, And as long as you're inputting the information towards that database, as long as you're happy to store it there, which is very secure, AI can definitely work with that. And
Uh,
uh, it's a great use case. It really is.
I'm
So
curious
yeah,
for the
go ahead.
agents here on the call. Would you find more valuable like a tool that did that, like we were talking about with the reviews or the live voicemail, or not voicemail, a live voice instead of voicemail? Like, are those things you guys would want to implement if they were built? And yes, I'm kind of doing market research as we're doing this.
Whilst
Out of curiosity.
whilst people are answering,
Uh,
what I can say is if I'm an agent, an experienced agent that's done a ton of deals, and I've got all of that information and I'm happy to put it into like a vector database, um, that's something that then you could set up as obviously a voicemail system, and you could then offer, you know, I don't know, like quotes. maybe the agents, maybe you could, maybe you can't. I don't know the industry too well, but you could offer quotes based on previous data. So, what's happened in the past, you could then feed in data to the agent about house prices in the area. You could
Yeah.
then all of that type of stuff. You could feed into the agent, and you could literally have this agent could have a conversation with prospects to give them the information they want without you having to go back. And then
Yeah.
the last aspect of that agent would be to send you a text message and an email about the conversation that's just had as an output so that
Yeah.
you're on board, you understand.
Okay, so Anne here says I'm the wrong person to be on this. Remember when when there were pagers and no cell phones, I like to use my cell phone to have voice-to-voice conversations. So that actually I completely agree with you. Where I look at AI, and I'm curious your thoughts too, is like were those opportunities where maybe you can't get to the phone, right? So like if they call you, you're with a client, you can't pick up. Is it a better experience then for the consumer to go to your voicemail or to have an AI that can talk to them and like reassure them you're going to get back to them and get the key information from them and give that to you and you can make a better callback. Like I think there's it to me it'd be like today's version of AI using it in your business would be how can you use it to get more time with your clients and give them a better experience?
Just my quick thoughts on that again. I think the voicemail wouldn't be, hey, call me back or I'll call you back. It would be, do you want to speak to my assistant and schedule a time to call me, or do you want to speak to my assistant and they will provide you with as close to the information as you want, kind of thing.
Yeah. 'Cause, like,
Give them
especially
the
if
options.
eventually it could be tied in with MLS data, they could call in and then it could even answer questions like if they're calling about a house, it could even start getting that basic questions for you and then set a callback time. And it could also keep them on the phone in case you can get yourself away and jump into the conversation, which
Mhm.
other stuff. But yeah, like, and this is all like, it's interesting just to see a lot of like these interesting use cases that come in. But like, I think the fielding the calls one has a lot of potential. They would just need to like go into their CRM after, I think. Because I think that's
Yeah.
where that main hurdle would be is you want that data to get and either create or update a contact that is there. You'd need that. Because that like
Mhm.
I think like there's obviously a lot of different parts of real estate. Like when I look at the biggest challenges, like generating leads isn't typically a challenge, it's converting them. But then part of that is like they have CRMs that they don't use or they don't update enough. So it's like, how can we make all that easier? Like in an ideal world, if we could just listen to their phone calls and go update their CRM for them, that'd be so much easier. So it's
Even,
always
I
thinking about
mean,
that.
even using, typical sales tactics around that, I don't think people use enough with CRMs, like the sheep factor, where
Yeah.
using AI to understand there's someone in the CRM that lives three doors down from you that I sold their house 10 years ago, and you've been in this house for 15 years type of thing. Um,
Yeah.
you know, getting AI to recognize that. Oh, did you know
Yeah.
so and so from three doors down, and I sold their house, and you should speak to them. They gave me a great review, and it's a great way of kind of then cheap out. If they used you, then I should use you type of thing.
Yeah. Well, even like one of the things we do with some clients, and we always recommend people do this, like if you get a listing in a neighborhood, you should email everyone that's looked for that type of home that's ever reached out with a, hey, we got a listing coming up similar to what you've looked for before. Would you like the details? Or send it to all the people who live there, be like, hey, we got a listing coming up around the corner from you. If you have any friends looking to move to the neighborhood, you should let me know and I'll send you the details. So it's like that, get people to put up their hand, but if it can already kind of do that work of finding those people for you, it just makes your life a lot easier because right now it's a very manual process.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then yeah, you got to connect that into their CRM, read it all, get that data in there, all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, so that's been pretty good. So does anyone else have any questions? Like we see there's some stuff in the chat here. I like the idea of an AI assistant who could field the calls I can't get to, things like that. But yeah, if you guys have other questions, like we'll stick around like we typically do for like the after show where we kind of hang out. If you guys have things you want to talk about, we'll certainly stick around and talk about them. Because we can probably geek out about AI stuff for a long time. But otherwise, appreciate you coming today, Matt. If people had questions for you, maybe wanted to talk to you about AI, how could they get a hold of you?
You could definitely reach out to you or here as number one. My full name's Matthew Hinckley. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to give me a shout there. But I'd say if it's for a real estate standpoint, reach out to REM. We're close, and you know how to get hold of me as well. So
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. And if you're here live, stick around. We'll do the after show. Like
sure.
always, I'm turning off the recording now. Thanks for coming in, Matt, and we'll chat soon.